thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about the tools of World Bible School. And you'll notice it says Bibles for Millions on there. I'd like to share with you what that is all about as well. And I also want to, before I go any further, show you a better picture of myself, I hope, but in case you couldn't make out what I actually look like on the Zoom screen. But on there is also my contact information, my office, the office number here, also my cell phone number, and my email address. So if you take that down, I'd welcome any calls or requests for information that you might have, and help you out any way I can. So let me start by reminding you of the Great Commission, Matthew 28:19. That's where basically our mission statement reminds us of our purpose as disciples, and that is to make disciples in saving of souls by baptizing and teaching. And World Bible School shares in your interest in the growth of the church, and believe you have a part to play in the effort, as many people are still searching for truth. We don't realize that, but throughout the course of my presentation tonight, I want you to realize that people are indeed searching to find the truth about God and ways they can be in a better relationship with Him. But what World Bible School is offering are tools that help each of us in this task, tools that allow you to come alongside someone and help them understand the good news of the Bible. Now, the faces here are all real World Bible School students and people, some I have actually met. But these faces are to remind us that we are going to people, our neighbors, and the people we see at the grocery store that need Christ in their lives, just as much as people living in foreign countries. World Bible School offers tools that can help teach our friends and neighbors the gospel and do it in a loving way. So one of the first tools I'd like to show you, well, actually show you all of the tools. Many times when I go to a congregation and present World Bible School, they only have in their mind that we do printed correspondence lessons. And hopefully just by showing you the different tools that are currently available, you can see that we have more to offer than just that. So let me go in and explain a lot of these tools. I'm going to start by showing you the Bible, the World Bible School Study Edition Bible. And really it's the best way to start, because this is the original tool for gospel sharing. Almost 4 years ago, World Bible School released the first study edition Bible, a full Bible in the ESV. The smaller Bible that you see in the front, the brown cover Bible, is that Bible. And shortly thereafter, we produced the same Bible in the blue cover, which is designated to go into prisons. That cover allows it to be more accessible and accepted in prison ministries and things like that. So those two Bibles have been carrying the workload for most of this time. And what's special about the Bible, though, is the study helps that also appear in the back. Now, but recently, we've been able to introduce a large print edition, which you see in the center there, a 40% larger print, but it's a full Bible with study help notes. On the right side of your screen is a New King James Version with study help notes, and those are by request. And then on the right side of your screen, you'll see a French version, our first foreign language Bible that has become available. We hope to have a Spanish language Bible next year. But what's special about the Bible, of course, are the study helps in the back. Again, full Bibles, they're either in the ESV or the New King James. Both, I believe, are easy to read translations. They'll come with cross-referenced footnotes, concordance, and study helps that integrate with what we call our Master Series. And I'll show you more about that in just a moment. But also included in the study help notes are a guide to New Testament Christianity, and altogether over 100 pages of study helps in the back of the Bible. And topical studies too. I can get to There's the topical studies, and they have the titles like Born of Water and Spirit that relate to our master series. They don't duplicate our printed courses, but rather help or allow a student to go deeper into their study. So again, over 140 pages. Here's an example of this. This actually comes from page 1408 in the study help or study guide. A major difference between the World Bible School Study Bible and maybe most other study Bibles that are available, and that's by explaining with scripture references why a person must be baptized. The Prison Bible has been nicknamed the Swiss Army Bible, and this is by volunteer inmates at the, I believe it's an East Texas prison that work in the chaplain's office, and they call it that because it has, they'll say it's everything a Bible student needs in a compact size. Another testimony comes from a prison ministry in Eastern Colorado. Bill Lewis, serving as a volunteer chaplain with the Sterling Correctional Facility, reported to World Bible School, "This morning we baptized 26 men. Many of them taught themselves with the World Bible School study Bibles we have been handing out. Many were also taught by others that they had taught and baptized the year before." So there you see the need and use of the World Bible School Study Edition Bible in prisons. Now, Bibles for Millions, I've stated, is because the Bible is an evangelistic tool. It's attractive, it's inexpensive, and easily can be given as a gift to family, friends, neighbors. And each Bible, when given away, helps you start that important conversation that many of us desire to have with those we care about. Now, the Bible's Familiar campaign is an effort to put 1 million Bibles into the hands of seekers over the next 5 years, and that program started this year, so we're going to say the next 4 years. So we only have a little bit more to go, and then we're going to achieve that goal. But God is really blessing this effort for World Bible School and letting His word get into the hands of so many that are needing that. And we're going to allow God's original tool to transform lives. And here's the Master Series that I was referring to. This is our printed lessons, how they would appear or look if you were to hold one in your hand, perhaps. But in this 7-course series, there are opportunities to teach about God's plan. Well, teach about God through God has spoken, His plan, and this is good news, and knowing Jesus and how to respond to that plan with Born of Water and Spirit. And then when we get into Family of God and Live a Life of Love, that's all about how about the church and how to live as a Christian after you've made that transition. We also, just so you know too, if you're not familiar with World Bible School, how this would appear for a student, they would be reading the course. They would also be asked questions, multiple choice questions and discussion questions. And this is simply the part that is returned back to the study helper. And so the study helper would grade the multiple choice questions and then read the discussion questions and get a feel for how well the student has absorbed or understood that course or lesson that they have been taught. And then that's how they respond back to that student and encourage them throughout this process. After a student has completed the Master Series, many students are asking, what else can I learn? Well, we've recently been introducing what we call supplemental courses, and these are simply informational lessons, meaning these are actually self-studies where a student does not have to mail back answers to their study helper. And so we currently have 6 supplemental courses. Lord Teach Us to Pray, Test the Spirits, which helps answer that question, are there modern miracles and things like that? Balancing Faith and Works, Covenant Promises and Covenant Considerations, often questions from students about what covenant are we under? We want them to be able to understand that. And Guide to New Testament Christianity, again, was our first supplemental in that we wanted to help these students that were baptized and taught and baptized, how they could find the church where they live, in the country or village, what they might be encountering. And it may not be they just go to the Church of Christ like we know. They may be, the church may be meeting under another name is what I'm getting at. And that way we wanted them to have the tools to identify that church and worship with them. And if they couldn't find that church, they could start that church in their area. So that is the supplementals. And then we also have what we call a special series. So in that introductory lesson, there's a way for that student to identify what they believe their religion is. In the case of say, a Muslim or Islam being identified by a student as their religion, we have a special series to help them along in their study by helping them get started on the right foot, or in a way that they already understand, and use that to actually reveal what God's plan is and who Jesus is. And so we have the Muslim series, and this would take the place of 2 of our regular courses, and then feed them into This Is Good News and Born of Water and Spirit, and lead them along that way. We also have in our special series a children's series, because children want to learn about God too. And they will often request a study of the Bible. And this series is for those ages 8 to 12. And so something more age appropriate for them to begin their study with. And the hope is that we will be able to lead them into the Master Series. But while we're doing that, we're hoping that this is also maybe a tool that can help start teaching the whole family, especially if that young person has a brother or sister of a similar age that could learn as well, or maybe a parent that will need to be involved in helping them to study this. Then that parent is also learning about God, and perhaps this could be a way for the whole family again to learn about that story that they need to know. I want to share with you a personal story from Rosari. He lives in Harare, Zimbabwe, and he was a World Bible School postal student, and he was taught by Rebecca Shue, who lives in Alabama. But on some of our campaigns, they were doing a seminar for World Bible School students, and Rosari attended that seminar, and he went forward at the end of the seminar, but he came forward to tell his story. His story was quite touching. In fact, by the fact that he had suffered depression caused by the abuse from an alcoholic parent. And he felt his life was sinking into a downward spiral that brought him to attempt suicide more than once. But he then found World Bible School and began his study. And honestly, he found the hope that he was looking for. He later, again, attended this seminar, and this is where he said that he got changed by World Bible School, and he is now wanting to help change other people's lives. He had found that, life just offered disappointment after disappointment. And so that was his search, is to find hope. And really it's a theme of many students that come to World Bible School. They're looking for something better, and they are so happy when they do. The next tool, of course, is to take that same printed Master Series course and offer it in an online setting. So we have the World Bible School that can be taught online. And this is what a World Bible School student would see. And this is through worldbibleschool.org. That's the website that the teaching takes place on, okay? Because I'm going to mention several websites tonight, so just to help keep it straight, worldbibleschool.org is where the student is going to go and register. And this is what they'll see. They're going to see the same introductory course, the same second course, God Has Spoken. And they're going to say the same multiple choice questions and the same discussion questions like I showed you before in the printed lessons. Now, if you're interested in becoming a study helper and doing it online, you would need then to go to the worldbibleschool.net site. And that's our resource site for World Bible School. But it's also where you go to click on Become a Study Helper. And there would be an application that came up. You would submit that. You would receive an email and response. And then you would be allowed to go to the worldbibleschool.org site to sign in as a study helper. So as a study helper, you would have access then to the student board. And this is kind of a representation of what the student board will look like, because this, I'm showing you images from our upcoming reboot of the site. But on this site, there could be hundreds of names listed. In fact, I've seen several hundred on our student board through the time I've been a World Bible School study helper. Oftentimes I can go on and see upwards of 93 or more names, sometimes less, but usually the average is up in the hundreds. So if you're going through the list here, here's an example of what you would see. You would see a student's name. In this example, Daniel Hernandez, his age 30, his gender, he's a male. His language is English. And honestly, unless you have registered to study with students from other languages, all you will see are those who are willing and ready to study in the English language. You're going to learn their location, where they're from, and where they are in their intro lesson. Each new registration, they can automatically begin working on that first intro lesson the way. And so this student has started it, meaning he started reading the material and started answering the questions. He just hasn't completed it yet. The other status could be that they haven't done anything at all, or that they have completed the intro lesson, in which case they're ready to be adopted. Any student can be adopted at any point, even if they haven't completed it. The mode is how they've chosen to study the World Bible School lesson. In this case, he wants to study online. That's what web means. But that same student, even though he's gone online to register, he can still request to do it by mail. That's an option, and that's a good option for some people. That's the best way many people learn. I'm that type of person. I like holding something in my hand and rather than reading off a screen many times. So again, that's the mode of study, and it may work best because he doesn't have internet access all the time. A lot of countries may have internet, but not the access that we're familiar with high capacity in our home, Wi-Fi and all that. So this may be a situation where he can only connect once or twice a week or a month, whatever their situation is. So the actions are the actions for the study helper. You as a study helper can send this student a note of encouragement, or any student on the student board a note of encouragement. And that can mean anything as far as if that student hasn't begun a study of the intro lesson, you can encourage them to get started. Or in this case, encourage them to continue reading on and finish that first introductory lesson. And I would even suggest if they've completed it, still give them a note of encouragement. They still need to know that there's more to come. It isn't just that intro lesson that they've been asked to do. But adopt is your second action that you can take. And that would be, once you click on that and confirm that, yes, you want to adopt that student is now your student. And you get to work with that student and start answering the questions they pose, grading their multiple choice, and reading their discussion questions and responding back to them on that. This is an example of one of those online students. Her name is Ingrid Moyal. She lives in South Africa. And for Ingrid's story, I sent her that note of encouragement because she was sitting on the student board, had completed the intro lesson, and was waiting to be adopted. She hadn't been encouraged yet, and I wanted to offer that because so often a student that's completed the intro, they could just get snatched up, and I wanted her to have that. Well, what I found out later is that Ingrid was adopted just shortly after I sent that note of encouragement to her. And she studied for from then until the fall, when I learned from her study helper that she had requested to be baptized. She had progressed through that study and to the point she knew she needed to be baptized. What we learned during that follow-up process was that she was stricken with ALS, that's Lou Gehrig's disease. She had progressed to the point where she had lost her ability to walk, use her arms, and even lost the ability to speak. So you might be wondering, well, how did she do this lesson then? Well, she had, and you can see it in this picture on the screen, the lower one there, a monitor in front of her. On that monitor is something that can track her eye movement. So she did her entire study, typed out every word in those questions with the movement of her eyes, which is just phenomenal. Also in that picture are Machona and Lazarus with gospel chariots. They came to her home and set up a baptistry on her patio. And Ingrid was baptized on November 21st. That was Thanksgiving Day here in the US, and it was the day before her 44th birthday. But Ingrid would share her appreciation to World Bible School. And she would also say that this Bible study changed my life. Before I became ill, I would never have found the time to do any kind of study. Although this illness has been a challenge, it has given me the opportunity to do this Bible study. And I realized that I had been spiritually blind for so long. And I am so glad that my eyes have been opened to the truth. For almost 50 years, World Bible School has worked with thousands of congregations to get the gospel to millions of people around the world. Since 1973, we estimate, there's no way to know for sure, God knows how many, but 35 million total students have been reached through World Bible School. For last year, our postal students were around 1.2 million students. And that's the second year in a row where we've had postal students of over 1 million registrations. And that I must clarify is only students whose names came through the World Bible School office here in Cedar Park. This would not include the names of the friends and family members that the student themselves had referred back to their study helper. They have the opportunity every time one of those courses come to them. If they have a family member or a friend that says, I want to do that study too, they can put their name down, and then that study helper will send them the next course or the lesson to start them off. So we have no way of tracking how many of those students have been reached, but it would be considerably more than the 1.2 million that we could count. Online students for last year, 69,000. We estimate 8,000 study helpers. Pretty much that's the average that we've been able to maintain over the years of doing postal lessons and online. And each year, around 18,000 baptism requests come in. And so we try and help with follow-up requests in that area as well. So what I want to share with you next is Connect. And this is an exciting way of helping congregations here in the US do local outreach and using World Bible School, looking into our own communities or specific areas that are of interest, maybe in support of a missionary. But these are ways that we can use World Bible School and do it for local outreach. What I want to describe first is, because there's one of two ways in which Connect works. The first one I want to relay to you is the traditional campaign. World Bible School will help a congregation create a custom web address. That's often also referred to as a URL, but this is created for the congregation, and this would be offered to anyone that a member comes in contact with in the community, that person at the grocery store that has an interest in doing a Bible study. Here's an example of a card with that web address, a custom web address on it that can be offered to that person you encounter. The student that uses that custom web address to go to World Bible School and register with is going to be directed back to the congregation that created it, meaning the person that registers is going to have the opportunity to become the student of that congregation first, or the study helpers from that congregation can choose to encourage and adopt that person. So none of the web address you see here is not going to work unless you get it out in front of the public. In this example of handing out business cards, but it has to be in the public view and be seen in order for it to be responded to. And that's really why we call it the traditional campaign, because it works similar to any other outreach that a congregation or church would do. You go out, you meet people, and when appropriate, or offer the opportunity to study the Bible, where they can then do it on their own, meaning at home or even work at their own pace. You or someone that is a study helper in your group get then to adopt and encourage them in their study. Now, to help this process, we offer templates like this business card that you see on the screen, but we also have flyers that can be created and flyers that can be used in ways to get them out in the public. This is an example of a flyer appearing in a newsprint ad, or it could be used in a classified paper, where something like a thrifty nickel, if you're familiar with those. But the Bible Topics.World Bible School is the example of that unique URL or web address that the church created. The Bible Topics part is that, what I call it, serves as that identifier. You could choose your own identifier to go in front of worldbibleschool.org, and then that would redirect that student registration to the student board that you have for your congregation. And there's no charge for this custom web address or the templates for the business cards or the flyers, posters. Your only cost is how you go out and use that. And if it isn't producing those cards, that's your cost. But a way around that is to use it as a link on your church website. So if somebody visiting your website can see this opportunity to begin a Bible study, click on that, and then they can also become your student. Another way to do that, many congregations have welcome packets for visitors. So here's an opportunity for somebody that is actually visiting your congregation to offer them that opportunity to study with you online. Some have gone to what I call the extreme, putting it in as a yard sign in their own yard or the yard of the church building. And doesn't happen often, but there has been those who have chosen to use it, rent a billboard and put it out there in the public view. And that's one way to do it. But here's a very realistic way and a good example of using it alongside other ministries. And there's the house-to-house, heart-to-heart. Many congregations use that to reach out into their community, be known by them. And they do get a response in some cases where people will show up and attend. But here's a way that there's advertising space that House to House allows congregations to put their own content in. Some have chosen to use that space to offer that flyer. And it has worked. Ed Cole is an example of someone that saw that ad, responded and studied and requested baptism. He's now part of the Zelian-Opal Church of Christ in Harmony, Pennsylvania, just north of Pittsburgh. Web ads is the second part of Connect. And this is a way to find those people that you don't come in contact with that are interested in studying the Bible and may already be out there online searching for a way to do an online Bible study. And they will come across World Bible School and they will register. But this is a way to know if somebody's doing that close to you. So if you target it around the Killeen area, any registration with World Bible School could then be directed back to your student board. And you have that opportunity then to encourage them. and also adopt them. And that's the purpose behind web ad targets. You create the target area. If there's a registration in that area, you're going to know about it. There is a cost associated with this because there is advertising involved through Google and some other sites, but it's not going to be anything more than what you would experience if you were purchasing the courses, the printed courses, and mailing those out. It may even actually be less considering the cost of postal expenses these days. But a registration on your student board is not going to cost you anything. We've set it up to where the cost is only if you adopt that student. So if you get 100 people on your board, but you only find 50% of them worthy of adopting or less, you're only paying for the ones you actually adopt. The others will be passed on to the general student board and can be helped by the other study helpers as they choose to adopt them. But that again is an example of web ads and how that can be used to, again, find those who are wanting to study the Bible. Here's an example of how a web ads target is created. I'll use the example of Austin, since this is pretty close. You can see Leander up there towards the top, in case you're not familiar where we're at. But you just choose to draw a circle around the city center and make that circle the size that you want it to be. It can be anywhere from 5 miles in diameter all the way up to 100 miles. And then you'll see, if I go back here, all those red dots on the map up there, that is actually actual target areas that many congregations have created. And you'll see a lot of them overlapping one another. Those are congregations that want to respond to those students in those areas. All right, well, I'm now ready to share with you our newest tool called Methodus. Difficult name, I know to get to, but the meaning behind that comes from the Greek word matheteus, which means disciple or learner. And that's what we want to do, is use a social media method or site in order to create disciples. And this was launched back in January. Methodus it's been the vision of World Bible School for many years now, and that vision was to find a way to harness the power of technology and the internet to reach more people to share Jesus with. And that vision has resulted in what I feel is an innovative way to do that. Just like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Methodus is a social media network, but with the purpose of sharing Jesus. And this is an example of what you would see on methodus.org. You would see the opportunity to study courses on there. These are courses that are done not by yourself, but with others. You can do this among a group up to 9 people. You could join a group, or you could create a group and invite others to come and study with you. And that is also available as an app for the phone. You can be downloaded through the App Store or on Google Play. And this is how we expect many young people to, will use Methodus. Each course will contain multimedia content, which in the case of the Methodus courses are videos, but others will include podcasts, audio, interactive content. All of them should offer questions that need to be answered. And in the case of the Methodus lessons, they will have exercises as well. And many of the courses are going to offer what is called digging deeper. That is a section that will include written material for further reading on the topic at hand. Each course includes, like I said, discussion questions discussed together. This is a way they can create conversation and discussion among all of the group members. And I would say those videos that are referred to are probably anywhere from 5 to 9 minutes in length, and probably 6 minutes is the average length on those. Here's a look at all of the Methodus courses, the Methodus originals. These are the ones created by World Bible School. And They're called Methodist Originals because there are going to be other courses available on the site from respected ministries within the Brotherhood, and they're going to be putting courses on there as well. The Methodist courses are Wondering What to Believe, In Need of a Savior, and Seeking the Family of God. And that the last one will be released earlier, not earlier, but at the start of next year in 2021. Let's look at the Methodist course, Wondering What to Believe. People are searching online with questions like, who is God? 23,000 searches a month. Who am I? 247,000 searches a month. And what is the meaning of my life? 79,000 searches. That's a lot of people searching some very important questions on, and questions relating to where do you begin or what do you believe? And it just strikes me as, man, if we could just get a few thousand people that in their search could come across Methodists and begin to look at the way these questions are answered, we could potentially touch a lot of lives. Here's a look at each of the titles, and they were titled exactly in the form of a question because of the way people are actually searching these days. So very likely somebody who's asking, who is God? They may come across a Methodist video that they could watch and hopefully find the answer to their question, and want them to get in deeper into these other questions as well. In Need of a Savior, 24,000 people search, who is Jesus? What does it mean to repent? 1,800 searches. There you go. That's a number. I would love to reach that many people a month with any lesson that we offer. Methodist, I hope it will capture that many. How can I be born again? 2,700 searches a month. Here's a look at the 10 lessons that are within In Need of a Savior. Then the third course, Seeking the Family of God. A look at some of the questions that are posed there. What is the kingdom of God? What is the church? Why are there so many different religions? What is worship? What is the significance of the Lord's Supper? That's among those questions asked. I think they will learn the importance of the church and why they need to be a part of it, part of the family of God. Now the Reaching series, that's going to take those same Methodist originals and turn it into Bible class curriculum with 13 lessons. So this is going to be a way to introduce these important topics to, say, a high school group or a college group or young adults class. Methodist is for everyone. And I say that because there are other courses available too. Again, I mentioned others in the Brotherhood are going to be allowed to put courses on here. Dan Winkler is one of those. He has two courses, one on forgiveness and the other on grace. So you have the opportunity to tackle other topics that are important to people. Two others that are currently available, How to Study the Bible, and another called Lessons from the Underground Church. That's an interesting study on an experience from a missionary in China and things they learned by trying to teach the Chinese in that country. The next tool I wanted to tell you about is Spoken. And this is a new opportunity to share Jesus while helping someone improve their ability to speak English. There is a large demand for people wanting to improve their ability to speak English, because speaking English, honestly, that's going to mean a difference in their income and livelihood for many people. And Spoken is an app that's going to pair a student with an English speaker working as a coach. The student is going to be presented a passage of scripture to read on their phone. They're going to record themselves reading that passage of scripture and then send it off to their coach. And then the coach will be able to listen to that recording and be able to record himself back reading that scripture, but also offering some tips, maybe things that they noticed in there that they're having trouble with. Offer them some tips on how to improve pronunciation of certain words, but then they're going to have that opportunity to also encourage them and share with them what that passage of scripture means to them. And then they'll be able to send that off to that student. Great way to, I believe this is just like Philip in the Ethiopian, where you get to come alongside and say, do you understand what you're reading? And this could be an opportunity and really a gateway, I believe, into World Bible School or WEI. If it's important enough that they continue to learn their English speaking abilities, WEI stands ready to assist in that area too. It doesn't have to be just a World Bible School thing, but if they were truly wanting a deep study into God's Word and to learn the meaning of the Bible and what's important there, World Bible School is also standing ready to help in that way too. So if this is the tool that interests you and you want to become a coach, well, here are 2 steps you could take right now. You could go to spokenwbs.org and click on Become a Coach, and then go to the App Store, download the free app. You'll find it under Spoken WBS. So there are the tools of World Bible School. And hopefully you can see through how I describe these are really relationship tools too, where you can share Jesus with someone. Now, these tools, I like the term tools at work because that's what a tool is for, is to get out and do something with them. These are tools that go to work in foreign countries. I've shown how they can be used in your hometown. They're already being used in postal studies as a one-on-one Bible study, but that wouldn't stop us from doing it with somebody we know. They're being used as Bible class curriculum. New Christians are learning from family of God and live a life of love. The Bible can be given as part of any church benevolence. And all of these tools, most of these tools are available in both print and online and in multiple languages. Not only English, but Spanish, French, and Portuguese. And really the most exciting part, I think, of my presentation is showing you the tools at work. These are tools and ways that we've encountered or saw that where churches were doing. And churches are providing Bibles for church visitors that come to church without a Bible. They're putting them in the Bible racks for pew Bibles, and they're taking them out on hospital visits. Now you think about that, maybe you're visiting a member from church. They don't necessarily need a Bible, but I was just thinking, how often do we find that a church member has made a special friendship with a caregiver at the hospital, a nurse or a doctor? Why not allow them to offer that Bible to somebody too? These are also being given out at food pantries, clothing giveaways. They're offered at Bible camps for the kids to have a Bible. VBS should be included in that too, and also school graduations. The exciting part on that, they're not only given to the graduates at the church, but there are some congregations that have gone out and purchased Bibles for every high school student for a local high school. Other churches are involved in backpacks for the homeless that include a Bible and a card that tells them how they can continue a study with World Bible School. Some communities are involved in setting up a booth. This one illustrates how they can engage some of the young kids in that. Maybe give them one of those children's series lessons as a prize or reward, but also offer that opportunity to study with parents and families. Here again, an example of a New Christians Bible class using Family of God, Live a Life of Love. What a great way to get a new Christian off to a good start. Probably the most exciting example I can give you of how the Bible was used, this was just a couple of years ago. Many of us are not familiar with Bring Your Bible to School Day, but it does exist. It was created by Focus on the Family, and I believe it was created as a kind of a show and tell where Johnny can take his Bible to school and show his friends that he has a Bible and how neat it is. But a church in Tennessee, the Pickwick Church of Christ, they got to thinking about, what about the kids that don't even have a Bible? So they purchased 2,000 Bibles, and they were allowed to give them away at the local school. They put them out on the table like you see on the screen here, and the students were allowed to pass by and take a Bible if they wanted one. Every Bible was given away that day. And on the right, you'll see one of the boys. This picture was taken by his grandmother. He was out on the hood of her car reading his new Bible. So already was engaged. But even more exciting than this, I love seeing a young person engage with the Bible. But several Bible studies were set up as a result of this exercise of giving the Bible away with the parents of these children and with some of the teachers there at the school. This is an opportunity I'd love for us to stay in touch. We have an action newsletter that comes out bi-monthly, so 6 times a year, where we're going to offer some inspirational stories, how World Bible School is working and touching lives. We also, for study helpers, have a Coordinator's Corner newsletter where we're going to offer some tips and news that's useful to you as a study helper. You can receive both of these by email. And you can subscribe at worldbibleschool.net. But better yet, since you know my email address, and if you are interested in receiving either of these electronically through email, just give me a shout out by email, and I'll get you on the list so you can start receiving that. You can choose if you want both, or if you would just like to receive the action newsletter. And I also want to offer this opportunity to come to the 2020 Austin Benefit Dinner. It's going to be held in person at the West Side Church of Christ in Round Rock, but it's also going to be streamed live. So I know there's a little bit of distance to come on down and participate on that. And there might even be some concerns about COVID and things like that, but we're going to take all the necessary precautions to do that. But this will be coming up on Thursday, November 12th. At 6:30, and that's for the in-person event if you would like to attend in person and just hear about the work of World Bible School this past year and what we're hoping to accomplish in the coming year. If you would like to participate by live stream, you could, there'll be information available about that from Keith about attending at about 7 o'clock that night. You can be able to live stream that and watch from the comfort of home. So how can I help? How can I get involved? That's often the question now that people are thinking and asking at this point. My hope is that you have already seen or identified a way that you would personally want to be involved with using World Bible School. But I'm going to ask that you pray for World Bible School. Pray for those students that are out there and dealing with the troubles that they have, especially in receiving mail and all the things that they hinder them learning about God's word. But also consider becoming a study helper yourself. Again, using one of these tools that I've talked about tonight in a way that you could help share Jesus with someone maybe that you know. But also I'd ask you to consider giving to World Bible School. This could be done either individually or together as a congregation, but just know that anything that's given will be used to help share God's word with as many people as we can reach. One of the verses I like to use, especially in my encouragement notes, comes from Romans 15, verse 4. And this is a verse I like to go to because Rosari, Ingrid, and other World Bible School students, they all share something in common as they begin their stay. They're searching for hope, as I mentioned earlier. And Paul tells us that the way to hope is through the scriptures. Paul tells us that for whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the scriptures, we might have hope. That's why it's so important to share God's word. Our hope is in the word that God has given us, the scriptures that he's provided us. And in the story of Philip and the Ethiopian, I think we learned something important when it comes to understanding these words. You see, the Ethiopian, he had a prized copy of scripture. and he was reading it, and yet he still needed help to understand what it was he was reading. Well, God provided a relationship with Philip as a helper for the Ethiopian to understand what it was he was reading. And God has provided the Bible today and opportunities where we can help others to understand the message of the Bible. I believe God is still providing helpers just like Philip, who are there for those who are seeking to understand the words that offer hope. Now tonight, I know a presentation like this doesn't necessarily lend itself to a response to an invitation, but however, I know that we're dealing in some difficult times. You may have a special need tonight and need the prayers of this group here, and I want you to know that you can still do that, express those needs. Or if you have the need for baptism tonight, if there's anyone out there that wants to take on Christ in baptism, just like some of the folks we talked about tonight, that opportunity is yours, and I want to offer that to you now. Thank you.